Okay, so what if you could build an app just by describing it? I mean, no code, no headaches, none of that. Well, that's the massive promise behind Opal, this brand new experimental AI tool from Google Labs that we're going to unbox today. I mean, really, think about that for a second. You've got this awesome idea, right? For a custom tool, a little mini app, maybe a workflow to make your life easier. But instead of needing to find a developer or learn to code, you just explain it. You just say what you want, and poof, it gets built. That's the future Google is trying to build with Opal.
So, let's dive into what this is all about. At its heart, Opal is really chasing this long-held dream in the tech world, the whole no-code revolution.
All right, so what exactly is Opal? Basically, it's a platform for building these little mini apps and automating your workflows. But here's the kicker, the real magic. You build with words, not with lines of code. You just describe what you're imagining in plain English, and Opal's AI brain does the heavy lifting, translating it into a working tool. And the mission behind this is, well, it's huge. They call it democratizing app creation. It's all about tearing down that massive wall of code that stands between a brilliant idea and the actual finished product. The goal is simple, but it's powerful. If you can think it, you should be able to build it. Okay, so that's the big idea. But how does it actually work? Let's get into the mechanics and unbox this thing. When you're building an Opal, it's actually a super simple visual three-step process. First, you've got the yellow input node. This is where you put your stuff, your data, your text, your files. Then you connect that to the blue generate node. This is the brain of the operation where all the AI magic happens. And finally, that connects to the green output node, which gives you your result. It could be a web page, a document, whatever you've told it to create. So, that blue generate node, it's clearly the most important part. What's actually powering it? Let's take a look under the hood at the AI engine. Okay, this is pretty cool. Opal is basically powered by a trifecta of Google's heavy-hitter AI models. You've got Gemini, which handles all the complex thinking and text. Then there's Imagen, which generates all the visuals, the images. And Veo is in there to handle video. This whole multimodal approach, being able to work with text, images, and video all at once is really what gives Opal its power and makes it so flexible. But it gets even better. Opal isn't just sitting there waiting for you to give it everything. It has what they call agentic abilities. What does that mean? It means it can take initiative, it can do things on its own. For example, its deep research feature can go out and actively search the web for up-to-the-minute information. So, instead of you having to feed it all the data, it goes out and finds it for you. That's a huge deal.
All right, enough of the theory. This all sounds great, but let's see how Opal actually performs in the real world with a few use cases.
Okay, if you're in marketing or sales, check this out. Imagine you write one single pitch email. You then build a simple little app in Opal, and boom, it can instantly customize that email for totally different people. The CEO gets a version focused on ROI. The marketer gets one that talks about campaign potential, and the tech lead gets all the nitty-gritty technical details. That's personalized outreach on a massive scale, and it saves a ton of time. Content creators, listen up. This one's for you. You can literally just paste a YouTube link into an Opal app, and it just goes to work. It can pull the transcript, draft a whole blog post outline from it, and even create a bunch of different LinkedIn posts based on the video. It's like a content multiplying machine, turning one piece of content into many. And here's a really fun one that shows you the full power when everything works together. A user built an app that first uses that deep research feature to go out and find the latest AI news for the day. Then it takes that news and feeds it to Gemini with a prompt to summarize it, but get this, in the style of Yoda. And to top it off, it uses Imagen to generate a relevant picture. You've got all the different AI models working in harmony in one single creative workflow. How cool is that?
These examples really point to a super important strategy for getting the most out of AI right now. It's called AI chaining. And the idea is actually pretty simple. No single AI tool is the best at everything. So instead of trying to make one tool do it all, you chain them together. You use a sequence of specialized AIs, letting each one do what it's best at, and the final result is way, way better.
So here's how you could actually apply that. You could use a tool like Opal for what it's really good at, generating the raw content, doing the data analysis. Then you take that output and pop it into a dedicated design tool to make it look beautiful, to add that final professional polish. It's all about using the right tool for the right job. That's how you create something really amazing. But we gotta remember, Opal is still experimental.
So let's take a step back and look at the huge potential versus the current reality.
On the one hand, Opal's strengths are obvious, right? It's super easy to use, and it gives everyday people access to some of the most powerful AI on the planet. But it's not perfect, not yet. Early users are reporting that it can be slow, a bit buggy, and the visual designs it creates are, well, they're more of a starting point than a finished, polished product.
And this, of course, leads to some pretty big questions about its future. Like, what's the pricing going to be? We have no idea. Can it actually scale to handle an app with tons of users or huge amounts of data? Is it going to play nice and integrate with tools that aren't made by Google? And of course, the big one for any business. What about data security and privacy? These are all huge unknowns right now.
So let's zoom out. What does something like Opal really mean for the future of how we create things?
You know, tools like Opal represent a truly massive shift. That technical wall between having an idea and actually building it, it's starting to crumble. It points to a future where maybe your ability to clearly explain a concept becomes more valuable than your ability to write the code for it. And that leaves us with a really big final question to think about. If everyone, and I mean everyone, has the power to create, what are we all going to choose to build?